Welcome back to the channel. So I'm actually waiting at a car station near GMR because I'm doing a build video with a Type R. It's one of the mutuals on Instagram, but shout out to him for reaching out. He also has a GT4, so if this video is well received, I'm sure we will film his GT4. But for today, we are filming his Type R. He has tracked it a good amount of times. I'm not sure the extent of the mod list. I think it's minimal. I believe the last time I saw anything regarding his mod list, he was still on, I believe, stock suspension or just springs, so it's not very heavily modified, but he has put down some really good times on the track. So I'm looking forward to this build video and also just the canyon run that we're about to do in GMR, because I haven't been here in years, honestly. And yeah, I'm in the X5 right now just waiting. I think it's about 10 minutes for when he's gonna arrive. Well, there he is, pulling up, looking good. What's up?
Right here.
There's a lot of people here.
Yeah, we'll cruise it out a little bit farther then.
Okay.
Yeah, give the car a chance to cool down too. What's up guys, my name is Phyman and this is my FK8 Type R. I chose this car because the second I saw it released and they showed all the imaging and stuff, I really liked the design of it, and I've had a history with Honda already. I started in S2000 and then I did a Type R swapped EG, and that car was just a huge mess and a headache, and like anyone who knows these swapped cars, these setups are just so much to get right. To have it drive normally, to have it drive and brake in a straight line was a nightmare. I just couldn't get around to it. It was just so old, right? It's a 93 car, Type R motor, so it was just too much. And I needed a track car that could get to and from the track without any issues, reliably. And then I found this car to be so fitting for everything I was looking for. Reliable, good power, wonderful handling, modern tech, and at that point I had gotten older, so the EG shitbox life was just too rattly. And so I needed a car that could do it all, right? And it was going to be my only car for a long time. So great daily as well. Interior space is awesome. All the ergonomics in there feel great. Great on track. I think a car's...
That's a bike.
Ignore it.
We maybe we'll just have it in here. He's flying.
So my first exposure to driving one was through my friend Angel of Art of Attack. He had a red Type R. He let me drive it, and just how smooth and put together it felt through a little bit of cornering, through this even a straight line. I just loved how it felt. So I decided to start looking for one after I had sold my EG. Looked at CarMax and I test drove one there. I test drove a few private owner ones as well, but eventually none of them really fit exactly the bill I was looking for, because I was specifically looking for a Champ White one, right? That was like a hard criteria for me. So I put out a feeler on Instagram, and then someone reached out with this car. And they told me they were getting rid of it. We met up. He was a track guy too, which was awesome. I actually liked to know that the car was tracked so that it has a history of it, because then some of these overheat pretty bad. I luckily got one without that issue. It never really overheated too bad, and it's a non-issue now with the hood and the grille. But yeah, so I talked to the last owner of it. He told me all about his track experience with it, and the community is very tight and honest. So I took his word at face value, and yeah, the car hasn't let me down at all. Picked it up from him. The mileage was only at 19K.
Okay.
It's a 2017, so first model. It doesn't have the knob, but that's okay.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
volume knob, I don't mind. Yeah, 19K miles, and I got it right before the COVID spike in prices. So I got it at a really good price, very comfortable, and the prices are now about where I got it at. So it has come back down. But there was a time in COVID when these things were like 50K, and that's just unreasonable. Like, the car is great. 50,000 is a lot of money, right? So yeah, I got it at a really good price, and I'm happy with.
So why don't we do a quick mod breakdown and walk around of the Type R?
So the first time I drove it on track, I drove it on 300 treadwear tires and stock everything, and I already could tell how good the car was. But from that, I could also see what it needed. So I prioritize suspension stuff with alignment, right? So stock suspension in the sense of stock springs and struts, but it has a EVS camber joint in the front and SPC camber arms in the rear, just to give it camber. The stock suspension dynamics are just so good, you really don't need anything more on track. Just give it a little bit of camber. So that was the priority with that. And then I noticed in 85-degree plus weather, it would overheat with the stock parts, right? So then I got the hood, the Varus hood, and then Jay's cooling grill. So both of these just increase the airflow a ton. And with that alone, no more overheating issues at all. Just that. So a lot of people go with these other things, and they change the power and stuff too, and then they have a really bad time. This car's stock power along with the stock suspension, so no issues as long as you give it a little bit more air. Probably one of my favorite parts in the car, really. Let me pop it up, bro. I think it just makes the car so much more aggressive. This is also downforce because it comes out of the side vents. So you get downforce here, a little bit through here, and cooling through here as well. And then you got the Varus bag, which is just great. Yeah.
Damn, that's nice, man. Under there.
I love this hood.
Very nice.
And then this one, Jay's grill, forged carbon. I like a little bit of a flare,
yeah,
or you know, in some eyes, a little bit of rice, you know, and that's okay with me. I actually like it like that. I think it goes really well with the yellow.
Yeah.
Mugen front lip, and that's about it in the front end.
For sure.
Right. Like I mentioned, the car is Champ White originally, so the car is actually wrapped. The side skirts, Mugen, and rears as well. That's all just the rest of the body, right? And then I have the Password JDM gurney flap. This thing actually makes a huge difference. I talked to RS Futures Amir, and he specializes in aero. He makes the wings and all that, and he was telling me just how effective this was. And I could literally feel it, and I was going 3 to 5 miles an hour faster on some of the long corners at Button Willow. So like Riverside, I was taking it at like 103, 105 with this.
Damn.
Yeah, so fantastic. I can't stress how effective this is. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Clear tails, and again, a little bit of flare, a little bit of rice, but you know, that's how we like to do it here. And then we have the Tomei Extreme exhaust, and it really is called Extreme. Yeah, single exit, a little janky at first to me, but it works. It sounds better than any other Type R exhaust in my opinion. And I really don't think it's that loud either. It's good and it flows great. It's not too loud, right?
Yeah, it's not too loud. We just went through the Canyon. It was GMR to be specific. It wasn't super loud because I honestly expected it to be a bit louder.
Yeah, people tend to think so because of the single, but no, it's not bad at all.
When I saw it being single exhaust, I was like, wow, I've never seen that before, which I haven't.
Right.
And I just thought maybe it would be a little louder. That's not a bad thing. People sometimes when they're newer in their car journey, like they kind of substitute loud for sounding good.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily the case. Like, there could be an exhaust that's both loud and sounds good, but there's often times where it'll just be loud. It doesn't sound good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, but this sounded good. It has a
Thanks,
good
man.
tone. It's not super loud. So if you I guess if you're trying to be courteous to other people around, like, this is a good one, and you could still hear it when you're pushing it. So it's a good setup. But yeah, that's pretty good overview. Did you have anything maybe in the interior? Nothing really, huh?
No, interior's all stock. But specifically about the exhaust, I did run a Jay's exhaust before this, so I can't recommend this exhaust enough. It's so good, and I think the tone is probably the best sounding Type R exhaust. These things don't have the potential to sound that good, but I think it's the best one that I've heard. I had the J's, and it was just mind-blowing drone. Like, I drove to the track, and I couldn't believe how bad the drone was. This car doesn't drone on the highway at all with this exhaust, and then it even has like the silencer you can pull on and off. And the J's was loud at the bottom and through the droning sections and on the highway and on the street, but then quiet at high RPM. So awful. This one is the opposite. It's much chiller on the way up the RPM. So low RPMs, it's pretty quiet, and then on the high end, it actually gets its loudest. So even then, not too loud.
So why don't we get a little bit about your wheel and brake setup?
Yes, sir. So 18 by 9.5 TE37s. It's probably the go-to track spec for these cars. The tires are AO52, Advent AO52, and easily the best track tire I've ever driven. And I've driven so many things. I've driven the Nankang CRSs, even when they were the CR1s and all that, and then the RE71, RS, Hankook, RS4, even the Cup 2s. And again, with the ceramics, right? The Cup 2s and ceramics is kind of the same boat. They're not actually good. They're gimmicky compared to what you can actually find on the track community. And then the Club Racer brake pads are just the holy grail. You can't find anything that stops the car better than that. It's so good.
Lastly, let's talk about your future plans with the Type R, and then also just a little bit of advice you'd give, like, maybe future owners.
So future plans, the car's done. It's actually completely done. This is the only car I've ever fully finished, and finished it completely to my vision between wheels, the gurney flap, hood, like every single piece is exactly how I want it. I don't plan to do anything different. I might entertain white Regas for the street look, because I do like the idea of that, but the formulas just go so well. Formula silvers go so well with the clear details, right? I think it goes well with all the details like this here, this, and the clear tails as well. It just all works with the formula silver, but white would also do well with that. Beyond that, done with the car. Just gonna track it like every track season. It's just so good. Yeah, so the future plans, I guess, are the next round of track prep, because you can see the tires are, you know, almost tapped out. It might have like one more slow day, but then AOs cycle out, so they're basically dead. But it's okay. It's still really fun.
For sure.
And then as far as advice for other as far as advice for future Type R owners, test drive it. Make sure that you can get a stock one. It's as soon as you get the PRL stuff and they're all tuned, and the E85 FBO, that's when they all have a bad time. And all you need to do is get a stock one. If you're just trying to drive it on the track, keep it stock as far as power, suspension, just get some alignment and good tires and brakes. Really, that's it.
This is my second time experiencing a Type R. This time around, it was actually driven. I'm not meaning that in like a condescending way. I just meant like this car is meant to be on the road, being driven 10/10ths. That's where you really find the beauty of the car. A lot of people might ask, and I'm included in this. A lot of people might ask, oh, how come you'd pay, you know, 35 or 30 plus for a Civic? You're never going to get that answer just driving it in a normal fashion, or even just doing pulls on the street and stuff, because there's going to be plenty of cars that are cheaper that could probably do those things better. But if you're actually driving it how it was built and engineered, then you'll kind of see why it's priced at what the price point is, because, you know, these things can actually compete with Supras, which are actually in a higher price point in general also. Like, that's another 15,000 on top minimum, and they're able to hang in with those cars. Obviously, you're gonna need to like boost the power a little bit, because the Supra is a crazy power plant. But for you to understand why the Type R is such a legacy and why it's priced at that point, is you have to drive it at the 10/10ths. And I think with this experience, I could see what makes the Type R such a desirable platform. You definitely need to be driving it really hard and just kind of pushing the car and yourself to really see if this car is worth the price, and that's going to be up to each person.
My whole interest in cars really stems from enjoying the drive of it. So Initial D was probably one of the biggest influences on me as far as cars. Even just growing up playing games like Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, I just love Underground and Most Wanted. The OG routes, you know, I still blast those tracks all the time. But the first car I drove, like as far as handling and stuff, my first car was a Miata. And thing was fun, thing handled great, and it was a good time. And then I went to S2000 just to get a little bit more wild, I suppose, a little bit more extreme. And then I switched to the EG because I wanted to try a front wheel drive platform. And I found that they drive so completely differently. Like, you drive rear wheel drive cars like you should textbook, right? But front wheel drive cars let you break rules in this absurd way. So, you know, I moved on to the Type R after the EG just because of reliability. The EG, like I mentioned, was Type R swapped and almost Frankenstein-y in the way it was put together, and just like trying to make it work, and it could not drive or brake in a straight line no matter how many things we kept going through. Suspension, alignment, like even just the diff and everything too. We even checked the diff. We just couldn't figure it out. Car left me on the freeway as well, and then I was like, you know, I need a car that can drive me to and from the track and not put me on a tow truck on the way home. So that's why I got this car. Driver's car focused, reliable, modern tech, and I can't stress just how reliable this car has been. Like, I literally went to SoCal Drivers Club the other day, I literally went to SoCal Drivers Club's day like last year, or no, early this year. And I was out there for an hour straight because they let you go on and off. I gave 3 friends passenger ride-alongs, did my session, cool down, literally picked them up, and then just 3 friends, one at a time, an hour on the track, no issues.
Wow.
An hour straight.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I managed the consumables, the tires and the brakes with the proper cool down laps, but just the fact that I could just go with just like a cool down lap or 2 between each passenger, it's so reliable. I can't stress that enough. So driver's car that is reliable and modern enough, you really can't beat this car. Yeah, the handling dynamics, like you felt, Adrian, like through cornering, insane, especially when you give it that camber. It loads up and then it just grips and claws its way out. Like, if you've ever seen Zoids and Liger Zero, that's what this car feels like, right?
Wow.
It's insane. That's always what I think. Yeah.
Throwback. But nice.
And aesthetically too, I just think once you clean up a few things, because it is kind of too edgy in stock form for me, and that's why I think the color matched Mugen kit really ties it together. And the granny flat, because it takes off that edge on the wing too. So just that smooth section of it lining up with the edges of the end plates, I think just lines up the car so much better.